Well, all right. So now it's recording. I guess tell me
Okay.
about Cafe Gratitude. Like how it started, like the idea.
That's great.
That'll be a great place to start.
I think so.
Oh, introduce yourself. Introduce yourself.
Okay.
That's the best place to start.
So, hello. First, my name is Alice. I'm the general manager in Berkeley location of Cafe Gratitude. I took on this position not too long ago, back in November of last year, so only a couple months. And before then, I was the branch manager.
Okay.
Yes. So how I get to know Cafe Gratitude and the owner, Matthew and Tercy, wonderful people, was actually, I would say, 6 years ago. My boyfriend, Miguel Flores, who is currently managing the Oakland branch, started to work at the very first location in San Francisco. That's Harrison and 20th. It's our very first cafe. Half of, or even smaller than half of what Berkeley's space is. It's a tiny place on the corner, very cozy. People know, like everyone knows everyone kind of environment. Original idea that our owner have for Cafe Gratitude is to provide a space for people to interact and to play the Abundant River game. So,
Play the what game?
Abundant River.
Abundant River.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to get the cards.
Exactly.
All right.
So the idea for them is not restaurant in the beginning. It's not raw food. It's not, like they have no clue in the very beginning. What they know is that they have the same philosophy. Matthew and Tercy, they have the same philosophy. They like to share their lifetime experience and philosophy with the community and build a community. So they came up with this Abundant River board game.
Huh.
So people can, through playing the board game, interact and share. So that's a fundamental idea. So the board game itself, it's pretty much like any board game that you can imagine, like Monopolies, or so you have the dice, you choose the player, you have a little tokens for your player, and you roll the dice, and you start counting the step. You will land on certain color step on the board game, and then you just pick out a color card based on which color you land on, and all you need to do is read what's in the card. Usually it's either a question or they ask you to share about your experience on a certain topic, and it's like a group effort, so everyone gets to share about it, or you talk about yours and move on. So this opens the window of and opens the conversation of who we really are. We consider Cafe Gratitude as a school of transformation. What are we transforming is a lot of areas. People's health, that's one thing. People's view about sustainabilities and ecosystem that we currently adopt or know. A lot of people actually know very little about it, and also transform our personal view and experience about our life. Choosing to view the life as a form of abundance rather than scarcity. That's our constant practice. According to our owner, Matthew and Tercy, that our life experience is never led on the circumstance. It's never the circumstance that creates our experience. It's our interpretation or our story that make up our experience. It's what our attention is focused on creates our life. So easy example on that is, sometimes it rains.
Yeah.
Right? And some people will be extremely happy because as a farmer, that grows their produce by natural abundance that's being provided. But to certain people, that stop them from going outdoor and have a nice picnic We're
Right.
a family, so it's never the circumstance that it rains, but it's people's personal experience of, oh, it's wonderful, we have rain coming, or man, it sucks, I couldn't do this and that.
But you wouldn't be able to have the good picnic if it wasn't for the rain, because you wouldn't have the good food.
Exactly. Well, but it's all based on what you focus on.
Right.
Given the situation, you can be focusing on all the negative thoughts as well as, or equally as good as positive thoughts.
Right.
And that kind of differentiate people who, I guess, been labeled optimistic than pessimistic, right? Like you see same thing, but in different angles. So that's basically the philosophy of Cafe Gratitude. Like we like to share, and we like to invite people, enroll people to practice abundance, like viewing your life as abundant, and feeling grateful about what you actually have, rather than focusing on what you're actually lacking of.
Is this why you made the menu so a person has to say positive affirmations just to get their food?
See, you choose to say the affirmation because you can always say, I want a taco platter. Nobody will say, no, that's incorrect, or yep. So it's basically also the training. We call this the training to have that opportunity for people to realize, like their divine quality. We believe that every single human being on the earth has the same divine quality. Everyone is generous. Everyone is abundant. Everyone is adoring. The time that we cannot see ourselves as generous, or other people have stories that so-and-so is not generous, is a shadow. It's, some kind of stories that's, like blocking us to make the recognition of that divine quality. I do not need to know you to acknowledge that you are being such a generous soul, because I know that live in every single individual. So by practicing that verbally, out loud, when you order in the entree, you are affirming yourself, that you have that qualities. It's interesting that in this society, talking about like this particular society, I'm not speaking globally, I don't know, maybe a majority of the society is operating the same way, but it's very easy for us to diminish in ourselves and feel comfortable about it. For example, you hear a lot of people say, oh, I'm so fat, I need to lose 10 pounds. I look so ugly, like, look at the pimple on my face, like, people focus on that, but they don't feel comfortable when they said, oh, I look so great, I look great,
Oh, that's true.
Right? I'm cool, I look beautiful. Like, people actually don't feel comfortable affirming themselves, but people feel totally comfortable when they are diminishing themselves.
Yeah.
Or diminishing others. Like sometimes sibling has no problem picking on each other's weakness, but they don't like to acknowledge, like, my brother is, very intelligent, or, it's just a different perspective.
Why do you think that is? Because I never even thought about that before. I really never thought about that angle. I know that people, more often will tend to the negative than the positive, but I never thought about it because they're more comfortable doing that.
So one theory or story is that when we came to this world, every baby is perfect. They don't have a single thought about what's right or what's wrong, what's a should or what's a shouldn't. Right? They are babies. They just being the way they be. But later, when people grew up, certain stories become valid or invalid, depending on which society you live on. And you start being told, you shouldn't do this, you should do that. You can do this, you cannot do that. So, as a society, society as a whole, we start adding on these or contributing these stories to individuals and later transform who we are and how we think about ourselves. And we certainly limited, nobody limits or set a limitation to who we should be, what we should be doing, like how great our life can be. But ultimately, we are the one who set the trap for ourselves, setting that limitation and tell us, no, I cannot be like that. I cannot achieve this.
Yeah.
I cannot be that. So it's the learning or it's the transformation that everyone can choose to experiment to unveil or unreveal that layers of, basically it's like layers after layers of protection that we build to ourselves. And a lot of times we, as a human beings, is afraid. Like, we do not want to open ourselves up because we're afraid of being judged. We're afraid that people are going to say something that will hurt us. So there's all these layers and shields, and we couldn't really communicate our true self with people. But by recognizing that, people are able to, using certain tools, acknowledgement is one of the greatest tools and most powerful tools that we can, realize and wake up to that realization that we're good, we're perfect, we're abundant.
Sweet. So that's pretty much like the core of why all this started.
Yes. It's the backbone. It's the philosophy and the fundamental concept behind Cafe Gratitude. So it has nothing to do with vegan. It has nothing to do with organic in the very, very beginning. We're not even talking about food yet. So how does the vegan restaurant came along? Well, in order to create a society, a community, in order to create this perfect world, that it's really important for us to have that conscious level of, or having the heart to have this earth or this planet be sustainable. I mean, the Mother Earth provide its best to us. They never, it's not the God or divine or, depending on religion you want to call it, who's doing the contamination. But we are the one who choose to do the contamination, to proceed with it. So, human being definitely has the strongest power and well-beings to, keep this planet as sustainable or as contaminated as it can be. So with that in mind, Matthew and Tercy wants to provide, we realize that as a human being, we rule the planet. We deserve the best. But a lot of times, the best is not defined the same way for many people as to, certain group of people.
Yeah.
So for us, the definition of the best is we're entitled to receive the best, most nutritional food. And that means no processed, no GMO, completely uncontaminated real food and whole food. And we also want to practice love by choosing to not building our pleasure on animals' suffering. So that's why, regardless of what people's point of view about veganism, I think for Cafe Gratitude, we practice, sharing the love equally and among all the beings, and that includes all the life being on the earth. So it has nothing to do with religious, which some people choose vegan because religious reason. And of course, we understand that our body is really vulnerable in terms of unnecessary contamination.
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And without people even noticing that, like, it's so easy for us to go into a supermarket and casually pick up some what Michael Pollan called special occasion food on a daily basis, and casually consuming that to the point that we ended up paying thousands and millions of dollars to the hospital, to the pharmaceutical company. That's not necessary, in my personal opinion. Plus, it actually contaminate our body and give us all these chronic disease and illness that you won't find 50 or 70 years ago.
Yeah.
So focusing on the real food and whole food and vegan food, it comes as the complementary element that puts Cafe Gratitude together with our main philosophy.
I see.
We are known for our raw specialties, and it was often being miscommunicated as a raw food restaurant, but we are certainly not raw food restaurant. Like, we're not 100% raw food restaurant. Right. Our menu consists of half cooked specialty and half raw specialties. It's definitely interesting to see the transformation of Cafe Gratitude, because we did start off with a lot of raw specialties, and that's probably why people always refer us or think us as raw, a raw food restaurant. But eventually we realized that it's really a challenge for the raw foodist to share their passion with their family, because a lot of times when an individual decides to go raw, that doesn't mean the whole family make that choice. So when they want to introduce their lifestyle to the family, oftentimes is they bring them to a 100% raw restaurant, and then the family don't know what to order, or they have no, they don't know what to expect. They don't want to try raw pizza that, they not anticipate that.
Right.
So by providing certain cooked food, the idea is to bring together that effort and of the community. We want people to be able to come in as a whole group that have different dietary preference. It might be there are one member in the family that's completely raw, another is only vegetarian, some it's like vegan, and they might have some meat lover that cannot deal with going to a 100% vegan restaurant. However, there are maybe burger on the menu that's not quite the way that they might experience, but at least it opens the door for them to try it out. So it's really important for us to be able to include everyone's request, like at least try to accommodate everyone's need and try to fulfill people's request.
Show everybody love.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So it's pretty controversial when we made that decision. Some of our loyal raw foodist customer sort of couldn't understand this aspect, or they are angry or disappointed about the decision. But ultimately, I think we're moving toward the direction that we want to build a community that can, be inclusive. So that's the idea, and we are continuing going through that direction. We are focusing more and more on local community building, meaning that in the beginning we have a lot of wonderful product that we bring it all over the world, from all over the world. However, we are also aware and conscious about environmental impact. We know that oftentimes that we get to consume these wonderful organic quinoa on the expense of earth as well. Think about the fuel, think about how they transport to Bay Area so we can have the food all around the world. That's costly. And we, as Cafe Gratitude, we are super aware of the cost. in that aspect. So we are committed to search for locally grown when we have that choice. But so the best example I can give is we used to use Bhutanese red rice, organic red rice, but we made a decision to switch to Casa Masa. That's a locally grown organic rice in California. I think they're based in Fresno. I'm not positive, but we made the decision to choose the brown rice that's grown locally versus having rice to be shipped over 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
So every single decision that we make, it has to fall under what we call PASS. Like we're constantly asking, are we fulfilling the PASS standard? So the PASS stands for profitability, awakening, sustainability, and service. The way we view profitability is it's not number that we're talking about. We're talking about is it going to profit people who consume our food, like profit on their health, profit on the earth. Are we eventually bringing the earth back to its original form, back into the nature by not putting chemicals on it? Are we profiting on gaining people's awareness of what's really going on with our food industry nowadays? Are we profiting on transformation of our employees and our customers by inviting them and enrolling them to realize how great their life is, to see the abundance rather than scarcity? So that's the profitability I'm talking about. Awakenings. Every decision we choose, every challenge we make is the opportunity for the awakening. Is the transformation or the decision that we make beneficial to the earth, beneficial to the society, and beneficial to the next generation, like sort of practicing unconditional love to everyone. What would the earth be like if we make this decision 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 50 years from now? So that stage of awakening. Sustainability. You might have noticed that we use a lot of stuff, including cleaning supply, including the linen. We use napkin choice, including the to-go wear. Cafe Gratitude choose to have completely in line with providing a sustainable agriculture and planet. So we will not choose anything that contains chemical. We will not choose anything that will increase our waste, plastic waste.
Right.
Try very hard to do that. Bleach is a big controversial topic that we do use minor bleach according to the Health Department code, but that's a biggest battle, I would say, that we continuously have with Health Department, that we used to use vinegar and use non-chlorine bleach as the alternative, and we get write-ups every time they come and inspect us. So we understand, that law has to be obeyed and followed, but at the same time, we always are up for looking for that alternative solution that provides, the most sustainable choices and decisions. Service. Yes, we are a restaurant, we serve food, but ultimately, I would say we serve unconditional love. It's a practice. Every employee that's hired here, during the interview process, I always share with them that, according to our owner, it's a really bad idea to work at Cafe Gratitude. So you get to listen to a lot of complaints. You get to listen to what our customer care about, but maybe in a different approach. It might not be in a way of, I see your commitment. It might be in a way of, I hate this. Why don't you do that? Why don't you do this? But we train our staff to listen to the commitment, not to the complaint, and listen to how committed our customer is to see us successful. Sometimes it might not seem it's that way.
Yeah.
But, for us, if the customer don't care, they won't say a thing. It's a different perspective of looking at a situation that's challenging, but definitely we believe that, our customer, our staff, our community is going or thriving to achieve the same goal. And we are getting there closer and closer to build a community that, we envision. The community without fear, without judgment, just with love.
Sweet.
And, that's the service part. We're practicing unconditional love. We're practicing service every day, on and off clock, on and off shift. The idea is to bring what we learn into our daily life. I'm not here to just practice when I'm working. I'm also practice when my family has a breakdown, when my siblings are arguing. Like, I am that mediator. I'm that bridge because I have the tool to help out. So, it starts here. It starts at Cafe Gratitude and it expands to the greater service, the greater community.
Dude, you rock. Thank you so much.
Any questions? What do you have for me?
You guys have great food, and that was perfect. It really was.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Aloha.
Yes, aloha.